If you sell value properly, price becomes the least important thing. That is your job. That's your job. The only way you get there is to find out what's important.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Mark with Limo Marketer, and I'm joined here by Ken Lucci from Driving Transactions. And Ken, it's been years since I've interviewed you, that is.
That's true. We had you on our podcast, and it was very people loved it or like it. They've commented on the episode, and we're going to try to do more of those together. So I'm happy to be here with you.
Yeah, your name gets brought up all the time when I'm talking to clients. And how many podcasts are you guys up to now? You're almost up to 100, aren't you? With you and James
We are
Blaine?
approaching our 100. We're probably going to have a 100 anniversary. I'm not sure when we hit that. John, we're blessed because John Tyerman's, he's the full-time guy producing it, managing it. I try to find guests, but he sets it all up. So he tells us we're pretty damn close, and we're going to have kind of the best of episodes, so to speak.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. It is a second full-time job. I have a business partner. His name is Cole Weber. He's the principal financial analyst, and I'm the principal business analyst. Two different things, right?
Sure.
But he looks at what I spend on the podcast, and I think there's value to it for the industry. I mean, we get a lot of people that comment on it. We're going to focus more this year on, getting operators true success stories on.
Yeah, I like that.
So, but it's interesting. I've come to the conclusion that there are a lot of people in this industry that play to play and don't play to win. Well, what do I mean by that? Regardless of size, what they do is they focus on top line revenue, and they take money out of the business, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to play to win, winning is creating a company that can run without you, right?
Yeah.
And that's increasing profitable market share, profitable revenue. So
yeah, that's the holy grail.
I got to tell you, Mark, it is the holy grail. And I hear great stories from your clients that use you. And I always preface it that, the ones that use you the right way, you hit it out of the park for them. But it's not these guys. A lot of people, and it's the same with my customers. They want to, stroke a check and now go fix my business. It doesn't work that way.
Exactly.
We can help you with the execution, but we can't do it for you. So anyway,
no.
the business is in an interesting place right now.
Yeah,
the industry rather.
No, it. Yeah. So it definitely, with all this, AI stuff and from mainly like the larger operators, like talking to them. I don't work with that many companies doing like north of 8 figures. Very, very few. But hey, how are we going to incorporate AI into the business? How are we going to, everyone wants to automate more, and and there's definitely a place for that. And I think you should automate everything that is not really what the true value is in the first place, right? And that is the personalized service, right?
100%. And it's interesting that you bring that up because, I had somebody call me the other day that said, they wanted us to value their business. And they said, well, ChatGPT says my business is worth this. And I said, well, then maybe you should have ChatGPT sell it, because it's not, kind of like the way the value is, right? It gave them the wrong calculations. I'm intrigued by AI. I love it. I'm intrigued by AI's convergence with two things for our space. One is improving the customer experience by improving the technology of order intake, automated dispatching, or at least AI assisted dispatching.
Yep.
AI communication, the routine communication.
Yeah.
And I'm really interested in how AI and AV, autonomous vehicles, are that intersection. You know, that's a story for another day. But I think we are definitely positioned properly to use AI to improve our customer experience.
Yes.
But remember why customers use us in the first place. It's the relationship we have with them. And the competition we have is transactional. We have to drive relationships. And to me, the easiest thing for AI, the easiest low-hanging fruit, is replace the simplest communications.
Yes.
Like, where's my car? Where's my car? Right? It's the outgoing automated messages.
Yes.
Your driver is en route, right?
Yes.
And so it's an exciting time. I'm still pretty very optimistic about the industry. I think there's going to be a lot of evolution. Um, I think some people think that AI. I find, I don't know about you, but I find that it's a 70% solution, and it's a good tool to set a direction, especially when I look at things on chat. Well, when I look at Claude, first of all, it doesn't do analysis. The analysis is wrong when it does it. But I enjoy using it to check where the right stats are, and then we drill down with the primary location, website, or analyst reports. We don't
Yeah.
just take it blindly. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So I think ever since I got started 8 years ago in the space, it's been clients wanting to fully offload the most important piece of the if you want to get to the through online, this is all through a lens of online marketing from what I do, because I can't speak to growing through, just affiliates or growing, in other ways through, I don't know, going to trade shows and networking and things like that. I can't speak to that because that's just not my wheelhouse. But growing via, paid ads, SEO, search marketing, these sorts of things, my clients have, or not all of them, but a very large portion have wanted, pushing for, hey, can we just show them the price right up front? And, I'm a little torn on that. I think maybe there's a place for that for a simple airport transfer, right? Something that's very simple, but even then, you never know who the person is who's on the other end of that booking, right? And so,
Yep.
I think, my vision, if you want to grow through online marketing, my vision is you should be having all of your payments automated, the things you mentioned with dispatch, automated dispatch, all those things. But the initial contact with the client and then the follow-up post trip, right? Those are the two pieces that having a real human, and who knows, maybe an AI agent can do this at some point, who knows?
I think that's still a little.
That's a ways off.
Time out.
Yeah, no, yeah. I do as well, and it's hard to say how much of the human aspect of it is, there's value in that, right?
There's no question that if you start with the fact that Uber is infinitely transactional.
Yes.
It's transactional. It's all about this. And the average Uber ride is 20 minutes, $20. Okay? In our case, if you just post your pricing, you're setting yourself as it's a slippery slope to how low can I go. And you don't know whether you should be offering that client your lowest available price. We've talked about this before. I'm a
Yes.
huge believer in at least three-tier pricing. My rack rate, my frequent user rate, and then my affiliate rate should be my lowest if that's what I want to go after,
Yes.
working with other transportation companies. But you can't, to me, you can't replace, and this is the argument I have, since the advent of the internet, the digital marketing experience has completely or made traditional marketing efforts less important to operators, and it shouldn't be. Your marketing mix should be a variety of digital, which is what you do, SEO, PPC, social,
Yeah.
but you also should be doing the traditional within your region
Oh,
marketing.
totally.
And in fact, you should. But what bothers me more, and I see this as an industry trend, which is a little scary. I'm happy that coming out of the pandemic, we as an industry have embraced remote working. And I've experienced many of my clients are using offshore call centers.
Yeah. Same.
Working extremely well. However, because in many cases, they're motivated to put the reservation in as fast as they can, and they go to ground too quickly. Ground to me is price. Okay?
Yes. Yes.
Number one question in sales by phone. How did you hear about us? That's the number one. You can't get that. You could put it on a form on your website, but a lot of people, it's kind of oxymoronic, right? Well, how do I hear about you? I'm on your website.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. The
But
internet.
you get them on the phone. And they're talking to a live person. You've automatically increased your selling, your closing percentage.
Yes.
The more value you create on the phone. Okay, simple stuff. Hey, Mark, how are you? Good. Can I call you Mark, or do you prefer Mr. Petree? No, Mark is fine. Mark, tell me something. How did you hear about us today? Oh, I found you on the Google search. Okay. Hey, Mark, curious. You're asking about airport service. What did you do before this? I used to use Uber, but boy, they left me stranded. They left me stranded at 4:00 in the morning. What did he just tell you?
Yeah.
He just told you reliability is the most important thing.
Exactly.
So many people tell me that, Mark, and it's a shame because a lot of times they'll call us and it's with practically no notice, and it's tough for us to, get a car out there and serve our existing clients. So the best thing for you to do, Mark, in the future, book us when you book your airport travel.
Yes.
And so I don't, look, I'm old. I'm 61. I already announced my retirement, 67 years old. I told my business partner, 67. I want to be able to have the choice to say to him when I'm 67, this is all yours.
Yeah.
But I shop online like crazy, and I'm going to give you a couple of examples. I'm renovating a guest house on my property, and I had to put a new bathroom in. And I sent a sketch to some plumbers, and a couple of them get back to me by email. A couple of them didn't. Do you know who the guy I gave the job to?
Probably not the one who
The
got
guy
back
that
to you by
texted
email.
me and said, "Hey, Ken," he texted me. He said, "Ken, do you have a minute? I have a few questions." Wait a minute. I sent that out to 6 people. This is the only guy.
6?
He calls
Wow.
me.
And in that
Yeah,
industry
yeah.
too.
Right.
Interesting.
Oh, Mark, it's with every service industry. Okay. And so he calls me back. He says, "Hey, Ken, I just, thanks for taking my call. And let me ask you a question. First of all, is texting you okay?" I said, "Texting is the best way to reach me." And he said, I have a couple questions for you. And he asked me 4 or 5 questions, and he said, would you mind if I came out and looked at it? I'm like, sure, absolutely. The other people, basically, it was so slow response,
Yep.
and it was so canned. And in
Yes.
certain cases, I could tell I was talking to a bot, right? It was a bigger company.
Yeah.
So we're in the personalized service business, period. End.
Hospitality
You know,
business.
we are. And name it. The higher priced the ticket, the more personalized the service should be. And
Yes.
listen, I have friends that do, the quoting tools. They've developed certain, bots and the rest of it. And, great. But last week I tried to order transportation from a client of mine when I was heading down to the chauffeur-driven NLA retreat, and I tried it using the bot. Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I tried it using the form. It was aggravating.
Yeah.
So I end up calling like I'm a regular customer. And the reason I do that is I don't want it comped. I do not want it comped. And I went to Vegas, and I used one of the biggest networks in the industry, and they comped it. I got mad. I said, don't comp my trips.
Yeah.
But I think you've hit the nail on the head when you've said that digital, you have to be above the fold in Google, page one, SEO.
Yeah.
You absolutely have to do PPC, and let's face it, you have to have an AI ready website. Am I wrong?
No, all of those things are definitely important for getting getting the lead for our clients. I have found that's not the issue for
Nope.
our clients. It's not getting the lead. It's a confusion about where the value really lies. And
Mm-hmm.
perfect example, I had a conversation with a gentleman yesterday out of Chicago, and he's been a client for 2 years. Smaller operator, two SUVs, and he's been a great client. Pretty healthy ad budget, but he's only done sedan SUV. Doesn't have a Sprinter, and he doesn't have really any affiliates that have Sprinters. And first thing I noticed was, man, your average order value on the initial order is so low that it's not worth, paying to acquire that client unless you are landing that second, third, fourth sale, unless you're figuring out, hey, 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 20 of these clients I'm landing use these services often, and I get introduced to someone, from them that is giving me more referrals. And, so the first thing I, was telling him is, hey, if we just switch over, to, a hybrid campaign, Black Car and Sprinter, immediately your average order value is going to increase by, 75% or so, maybe even more, maybe even double. And that's just with that one change. And with these particular campaigns, the leads cost about the same, which is crazy because one is twice as valuable as the other. But the real issue was, he kept coming up on price. I'm trying to give them, Mark, I can't go lower my price. I can't go lower. And that whole frame, is you're trying to compete with. It's like trying to compete with Amazon at selling, widgets online, right?
You can't.
You can't compete with these companies operationally, right? That's what they do, right?
That's what they do. That's what they perfected. And at the end of the day, if I may, I mean, I think he's confusing the client's goal. The client's goal is not to get from point A to point B. That's not the only goal. If that was the case, he could use a taxi. You could use TNCs,
Exactly.
Uber. He could bother his neighbor. He could take his car, etc. The
Yes.
key is, I argue that if the biggest issue, and you tell me if I'm wrong, is they view the lead as a one and done, and they
Yes.
don't know how to sell value.
Yeah. That's it.
You're selling value, and people don't believe me when I say this, but we've at one point we did a full report on how corporate buyers buy, what's important to them, and how consumers buy. And only 11% of the country, 11% of consumers, price is their number one priority. 11%. They're not our client. Okay?
Yeah.
I hate to say it this way. Let them get stuck at their house waiting for the Uber at 4 o'clock in the morning. That's not my client.
Yeah.
Right? You've done your job when you've created the lead. Okay? There's an old saying, they don't come on the car lot unless they want to buy a car. That's it. You've done your job. The question becomes, are these operators doing everything they can to, number one, sell value, and number two, turn that one sale into 2 and 3 and 4 and 5?
Yes.
I mean, an airport lead is automatically 2 transactions.
Yeah.
It's the round trip.
Exactly. Right? They have to get back somehow.
Mark, tell me something. You told me you're going to the airport. You go to the airport 7 o'clock in the morning. You've come to the right place because we're early morning specialists. I won't bore you with details, but we wake up our drivers, our chauffeurs. Oh, by the way, if the chauffeur doesn't get up, we wake up the supervisor. We've got redundant vehicles, but I won't bore you with that. You told me you want us to pick you up at 7 o'clock. Absolutely. That's a busy time of the day for us. We should probably book that now. But when are you coming back? Oh, I'm coming back Friday night. Mark, let me give you a round trip. Let me give you a full round trip price, because you don't want to be sitting at O'Hare in the Uber line waiting on a Friday night. We will meet you in Baggage. It's all about selling value.
Yeah.
And the other piece of it, did you know that when you use the client's name, you automatically improve your odds of a sale by 25%?
No.
25%.
I believe it, though.
Everybody likes to hear their name.
My favorite name is Mark. I love hearing Mark.
Well, so, I called down to my client in Fort Lauderdale, and I've used them before. So it's interesting that my cell number that I called on was in the system.
They called you
So
Ken?
when I answer, when they answer, they say, "Good afternoon. Is this Mr. Lucci?" I said, "Yes, it is." "Hello, Mr. Lucci. How are you?" "Do you like Mr. Lucci? Do you want to call me Ken?" I'm like, I train these people, so I know what, this is good. And it was a great experience for what it was, because it was a phone call, right? Where Uber is doing the app, and we're not, we can't change that overnight for our industry.
No.
But one of the things, he kept using my name. He said, "Ken, what brings you to Florida?" He said, "I'm doing an industry event at Fontainebleau." And he said, "That's terrific. Do you need a ride out?" "Yes, I do." "Let me do the return trip with you on the phone now. Do you want to use the credit card that's ends in 05? The guy he assumed the sale. But more importantly, if I'm just answering a lead for an airport service, he turned the one sale into 2. He cut the cost of that lead in half.
Yes.
So, yeah, I believe every operator has the same problems. They're not treating that lead based on what it could be in total client usage for the year.
Yeah.
I mean, your guy that does, by the way, funnest time I ever had in the industry, no lie, was my first year. I had an SUV, Cadillac Escalade. It was my command car, I called it. It had my laptop, right? That when I was with clients in the car, the laptop was covered with a piece of leather with my logo on it, right?
Yeah.
But I could manage my business from there in between trips. The best time of my life was when I did SUV, but here's what I did. If the client First question I asked is, how did you hear about us? Second question I asked is, tell me something. Do you travel a lot to and from Tampa Airport? Yeah, I go back and forth. This is my second house. I go back and forth right all the time. Second house, I go back and forth, several times a year. When do you typically come down? We come down in October. We leave, by Memorial Day. Terrific. You can also use this for nights out. Many people use this to go across the bridge. It's if you want to stay with you, terrific. If you want to risk it and come back with Uber, that's okay. But people use us to go over to Tampa at night because sometimes it's tough to get an Uber out at the beach.
Oh, totally.
You hit them between the eyes. It's not as though they don't know that they use Uber and you don't know that Uber's in business. But the whole thing is to build the value of the relationship.
Yes.
It's deepen the value.
Yeah.
If you get turned off or you automatically get an attitude over somebody looking for a low price, you're in the wrong industry. It's just shit that happens. Tell me something. What are you comparing me to? Oh, well, I took UberX to the airport. Jeez, I hate to tell you, Mark, we're always going to be much more expensive than UberX. Those are private vehicles. That's so-so insurance. What we have to do to provide commercial fleet service, commercial chauffeur service, is 10x what more than they do. We should be much more expensive than they are. But tell me, how often do you travel? Oh, I go in and out of O'Hare, maybe 8 or 10 times a year. Here's what we can do. I can give you a round trip discount. Okay. I can give you a round trip package. And if you'd like, I can provide service for you in another town. Or you have to create a reason for them to pay more.
Totally.
Okay. You have to.
Yes.
So to me, it's the treatment of the leads. It's not, look, we're always going to have people that are just pure price shoppers.
Exactly.
The question is this. Tell me something. What did you do before today? Oh, you said you travel to the airport, 6 times a year. Yeah, I used to use Uber, but, they left me stranded too many times. Mark, people tell me that all the time. They just can't be depended upon. Let me tell you why. You may place that Uber by reserve reservation 2 or 3 days before. Do you know when the drivers see it? Within 60 minutes of the ride. That's just the technology is not set up for it. Mark, our businesses are purely set up for it. So I just don't think the operators know relationship sales.
Yeah, no. And this is what I've been trying to figure out because, recently, in our agency, we would meet, have our account managers meet with the clients and review their campaigns. And I was just noticing a pattern in that the value they were getting from these meetings just wasn't there because we were covering things that maybe once upon a time mattered more. But now that things have changed a lot with online marketing and it's become a lot easier if you have the right infrastructure in place and you're sending the right data to Google, which we've finally gotten that figured out. And so now the next hurdle is how do we, it's almost like convincing this gentleman, this client I was on the phone with in Chicago, and the fixation on price. And it's kind of like a belief that it's kind of like if you're always thinking price and looking for price, you're going to find it. And you're going to start thinking
no question about
everyone always cares about it, right? And
no question about it.
The things that I want to point out that you just went over is you are anticipating, right, what they might need, the questions that they aren't asking, right? The value is in, your market, you know the venues, you know the traffic times, um, and we're talking about airport transfers, right? When you get into
Yep.
like bigger buses, sprinters, forget about it. That is such if you specialize in weddings, I mean, the questions you ask will be what, that's the value. The value is in the questions they don't know to ask, right? Is in seeing around corners.
Correct.
And
You have to, well, first and foremost, our industry, we call them reservationists, but they're not. They really are inside salespeople. And the owner, if they're, a small operator, the owner is a salesperson.
yes,
I came across something the other day saying that I've been using like left and right, which is we all want to eat. Guess what? We all have to sell, right? So at the end of the day, I, I, couple things. Number one, I always tell people, do not assume people buy people who routinely use chauffeured services or
that's
are
a key.
calling
What
for
you just
private
said there,
services, right?
routinely use.
Routinely use. Don't assume people who routinely use private transportation all do it based on price. The key is to find out what they did before the call. Look, there's
Yes.
no substitute. There's absolutely no substitute to getting on the phone with the prospective client and doing a simple needs analysis.
Yes.
Any one of these operators could go to ChatGPT and say, tell me how to value sell. Now, you wouldn't have the experience that's on this call right now,
Sure.
right? But value selling is all about creating the relationship. Mark, do you prefer Mark or Mr. Petree? That's number one.
Yeah.
Mark, tell me something. How did you find us? Oh, I checked you out on Google. Okay. Look, you know what that should tell you? That should tell you the guy, the guy is he knows that there's an Uber and he's looking for private chauffeurs.
Yeah,
Terrific.
exactly.
Thank you for doing that. Thank you for doing that. By the way, once the operator has answered that question, Mark Petree's done his job. That's it. Again, they don't come on the car lot unless they're prepared to buy. At that point, the operator really has to shift into value selling mode. And the way you do that is asking conversational questions. You don't interrogate them. And I always say to operators, don't ever assume that a wealthy person or a person that's used to buying private services that are discretionary, those people don't buy on price.
Yeah.
Right? You have to figure out the hot button. That's your job. Right? The hot button, my friend Doug Schwartz, God, I always bring up Dougie because he's a great operator. Douglas Schwartz, executive in Long Island, on
Yep.
Long Island. Doug will tell you flat out, we are absolutely not going to be the cheapest. But when his people ask the question, what made you call us today? Or what did you do before today? And they say to him, well, I used Uber to the airport the last time and they let me stranded. He uses my favorite line. A lot of people tell me that. And I can tell you that we have a guaranteed on-time performance because now, while we can't control traffic, we wake up the chauffeurs, we have redundant vehicles. But we're going to be more expensive, but we're the most reliable. How often do you go to the airport, Mark? I mean, make it conversational.
Yeah.
There's no substitute for that. There's none. There's no substitute for that. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So what helps you sell? Dougie must have 3,000 5-star reviews. So your operator in Chicago, you say, a lot of people tell me that they used to use Uber, but sadly, Uber is really good for $20 20-minute rides, but they're not good to the airports at 4 or 5 in the morning because I can guarantee you my chauffeurs are going to be on the road because they're W-2 employees, or my chauffeurs are going to be on the road because they're professional chauffeurs. We've got redundant vehicles in case there's a problem. You're not going to be able to uncover their hot buttons unless you have those kind of conversations.
Totally.
This is from, I'm calling you today because, this is from my daughter. She's going to the airport. You know what, Mark? You've come to the right place, because I wouldn't put my daughter in an Uber car to the airport at 4:30 in the morning either. So here's what we can do for you. Why don't we book the round trip, and I can give you my tier one as if you're corporate pricing, right?
Yeah.
People like a deal.
No.
They like to feel special, right? And Mark, I
100%.
tell you what, the other thing is, why don't I have the chauffeur meet your daughter inside baggage claim, or whatever you want to do. But the key is, this is an issue with the industry. We are blurring the line between what I'll call the Uber Black Suburban. What's the difference between an Uber Black Suburban and our Black Suburban? It has to be service. It has to be value.
Exactly.
It has to be.
It's all the same vehicles. It's all the same metal, right?
Correct. But when I've got a flight out of Florida at 7:30 in the morning from the Fontainebleau, I am absolutely not going to worry about it. I don't give a shit if it's an extra 40 or $50. I'm just not. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not. And that's the other piece of the puzzle is, Mark, tell me something. Are you from Chicago? I'm picking you up at a hotel. No, I'm not. How often do you come? How often do you come out?
Yes.
Oh, I'm here 5 or 6 times a month. Or versus you saying, yeah, this is a one and done for me. I don't want to be offensive, but how hard am I going to work for a one and done?
Sure. Yeah. No, there's
right.
Yeah. So
it's all about selling value. It's all about treating that lead as money. It's
totally.
all about treating that lead as currency.
Yes.
I had a buddy of mine 100 years ago. I sold security systems. I owned my own security company. Very good friend of mine. He would literally show me his leads. And back then we were using home shows, and we were developing home show leads. We were very friendly competitors. He said, you see these leads? I keep these in my front pocket with my $100 bills. You know why? They're just as important.
I love that.
And he said, these leads stay with me until they buy or die. Okay?
Reminds me of the Glengarry Glen Ross scene. We want the good leads. The good leads.
I want the good leads. I want the good leads. Listen, the other piece of this puzzle is, what makes you think that if you don't sell it the first time, oh, this lead's no good, I'm not going to do anything with it? Why don't you text them and say, listen, just checking in. I know you didn't use us for this trip. Please consider us. I'm going to give you a use certificate, $50 off a round trip. Now, notice I didn't say the word discount.
I like that.
Notice the word. I didn't say the word discount. Do you know where I learned that? I'm going to tell you where I learned that.
People start expecting.
I learned that from a guy that I interviewed for the podcast named John DeJulius Jr.
Okay.
You want to know? You think we're in a tough business? He started hair salons, and the guy I think was out of Cleveland.
Okay.
The guy created 5-star salons experiences in Cleveland. Okay. And he said to me, I don't believe in offering discounts, but what I do believe in is what's called specific use certificates.
I like that.
And you control the pricing, and people say, well, I'm not going to do that. Really? I'll take a client off the street any day of the week for $50. For a $50 use case certificate? Absolutely.
Oh, yeah,
and then your job.
Totally.
Absolutely. So why do you think these guys treat these leads as one and done?
Yeah. So I think it's the biggest thing, and it's taken so long to kind of have this hit me is, ever since I joined the industry, everyone's like, I want corporate clients. Can you get me corporate clients? And I used to think, okay, I need to set up these ad campaigns to target. Okay, so how do I do this? All right, 8 to 5 during business hours, using the right language in the ad. The landing page should be for a corporate buyer. But none of those things will get you corporate clients, because what will get you corporate clients is what Ken's talking about here. It's the have you ever used and I get this question a lot. Well, what do I even talk about on the phone? Oh, just calling to confirm, these details, right? Bang, right? Question: Is this your first time using Chauffeured transportation?
I have a question. I have a quick question for you. Can I call you?
Yeah, no, exactly. No, totally. Yeah. Oh, it's not a great time now, but I'll be available. Okay, perfect. Right? Perfect. And yeah, so
it's true. It's your story that you told on my podcast. I got to tell you, first of all, I know you go above and beyond for all your clients. I know it because they tell me that, right? But when you told me about the guy in Orlando that was the lead that eventually used a Sprinter, and he was calling because his EA, his executive assistant, wasn't working the weekend. I mean, that was $1,000 sale.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you ask that guy a question. Tell me something. I mean, why did you book? Because we kind of fumbled the inquiry.
Yeah.
And he flat out told you, you can, it's all about creating rapport and relationship. I don't know how you do that with just an email. I don't.
Yeah, no.
I don't know how you
can't.
do. I don't.
Yeah,
I don't.
You can't. And so, because this is a great little, and I'll keep it quick. So it was actually, the client, was, Houston, and I wish I would have done this 6 years ago, Ken, gotten on the phone with these leads. I don't know why it took me so long to do this, because having the frontline experience and, so this guy ended up, it's a long, I won't bore you with the details, but he ended up booking online through an actual payment where it shows the price. And then he ended up booking. The crazy thing about this was he was shopping on a Friday afternoon, right? And he got quotes from from 2 other Houston operators. And my client was the third one. And he sent a question about do you offer promotional pricing for a round trip? Which, by the way, my belief up until that point was, corporate clients don't care about that. No, they do. Like, we're not talking government here. We're talking about corporate,
they do.
And he ended up booking through a link on Sunday morning, and I go and look at the conversation, and no one had responded to his text message. I'm like, what the? So I call this guy, and very nice gentleman.
You called the guy direct, not the operator.
Yeah. On Sunday, because there's a little backstory here. We were testing out a new landing page system, and so I call him on a Sunday morning, right? And he's like, an executive with this. When I saw the 3-letter domain that it was coming from, I'm like, okay, this has got to be a big company. That domain alone is worth, $250,000.
Yep.
And so I was just so shocked, because I'm like, hey, we didn't even respond to you, and you ended up booking with us. I have to ask you, like, why? And he said, oh, well, the other two I got a quote from, for a one-way Sprinter transfer. He said, I just needed a one-way Sprinter transfer. And they said, oh, we have 4 hour minimums, right? Now, this was a midweek job. Okay. So I think it was on a Tuesday or Wednesday, and
you can find a Sprinter in the middle of the day, Monday through Friday, to do a transfer in every market in this country.
Yeah. And so I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. I'm like, well, and then you obviously need a round trip as well. He's like, well, yeah, no, that's why I was asking about the promotional price. And I was like, first off, I'm so sorry we dropped the ball on this. And, I was like, I'm going to comp the ride. And I said, you guys, I've done a little research. I went on your website. I'm like, how big is, and so 11,000, people in the business, and get this, the reason he needed a sprinter was he had 6 executives flying in from Australia. Now, usually an EA handled this. For some reason, EA was out, so he had to do it. And he was like, yeah, these guys are going to be here for about a week. We're going to some sports games. We're going to some dinners. And so, can you help us out with that? And I was like, because me being not really, I'm like, yeah, I'm sure my client can, and,
Right.
I'm texting my
Right.
client, man, give this guy a call right now, because there's nothing like getting a call from the owner, right? You feel special.
No question about it.
You feel special and all that. But, I asked the guy, Robert was his name. I said, hey, is there any chance, the person who usually books this for you, is there any chance I could meet her? And I figured he'd let me. And the reason I did the comp, number one, dropped the ball. I knew I was going to pay for it. I didn't mind, but I wanted to speak to this EA more than anything, because I wanted to hear from her. How does a company of your size that must spend, who knows, it could be in the 7 figures, like nation or worldwide, on transportation. How do you not have a vendor, right?
The EA for this company that's got to be a Fortune 500 or
Yes.
Fortune 1000, whatever, spent an hour with you.
Yes. And myself and my client, who owned the company, wanted to be on the call as well. And, I dropped the ball because I did not prep my client going into it in, in what you're talking about, the selling value, and it's not a commercial it's not an about us page, right? Like, oh, we've been doing this for this long, and oh, we have this.
Nope.
It's more about, hey, like, what happened last time with your last vendor? Why aren't you using them? And the time before that, and come to find out there were all these lack of communication, sending a vehicle that did not match the vehicle they booked. Certain things I found out that I would have never thought of, like, I couldn't tell.
Happens all the time.
From the landing page that, some of these executives are like 6'5". Will they fit? All things in which a phone call could satisfy. And so she said, oh, and by the way, in March, we have this, we're doing this Houston rodeo thing where we're going to need a few buses. And my client owns buses. And she was like, we'd love to get a quote for that. And so I was like, man, this has been the greatest thing ever. And so anyways, I got busy and followed up with my client 2 weeks later, in late February, rodeos in March, because I was wanting to hear how big this rodeo job was. And I found out that, I said, so what happened? He was like, well, they never got back to me. And I was like, oh, well,
it's not their job. It's your job.
I was like, well, what?
Yeah.
I sent him an email, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I was like,
Listen, these are, and I'm sure this operator is extremely well-meaning, and I'm sure he definitely gets
scaled
people
extremely fast, and like, his networking skills, like, and he's got a 7-figure business, and he did it in a few years. And so he's like good, but I think oftentimes the industry, sales is kind of a dirty word. Even the word sales, yes, it is sales, but I like transportation concierge, or it's more like you're at a high end, you're at the Ritz, and you're, or we're those guys when you go to Vegas and they take care. They take care of everything you need. Like,
there's no question. I mean, it is a concierge, or, I mean, if you're a high roller in Vegas, they will provide a name and a phone number for you if you need anything.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what you're talking about is, it's definitely high touch client services.
Yeah.
And I think I think a lot of operators are great at point A to point B. But let me share my screen.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I become obsessed. I become obsessed. Can you see this?
Yeah, beautiful.
Okay. All right. So at the end of the day, I become obsessed. We offer something to our clients called sales data analytics, where we work with our retained clients. All our retained clients spots are filled. But it came to me the other day that when I was doing some work with a client, and he wanted me to explain to a new reservationist, inside salesperson, client services person, client concierge, whatever you want to call them, what's the difference between what we do and Uber? And I said, very simple. They're transactional. They're focused on the A to B. What can I get for this ride? Limited essential services or update, very reactive, clean car, driver for hire, one-time rider, commodity-based service. What do we do? Now, this is a $30 million operator.
By the way, I
We
love
are
this, Ken. Like, this is
we
like
drive
killer.
relationships. That's what we do. We're focused on the client's total experience and their long-term success. What that EA that you talk to wants more than anything is she does not want any hiccups with the service.
Yes.
Corporate America, only in 38% of the cases, because we actually reviewed the consumer report and the corporate buyer reports. Only in 38% of the cases is price among the top three. What that EA wants from you is they want to look good. So how can I serve and add value every time?
Exactly.
The communications has to be proactive. It has to be personal and attentive. Planning is proactive. They plan ahead. We plan ahead, prepare, solve problems before they happen. The vehicle approach has to be impeccably personalized. Without question, the vehicle has to have chilled water inside. More and more, I'm seeing vehicles with chargers, and everything they need is tailored to the client's preference. The driver role, the chauffeur has a professional chauffeur. Also has to be a local guide and concierge,
yes,
representing the standards of the business, protecting our clients' time and experience. I actually in Florida did something really kind of naughty. I said to the chauffeur, tell me something. What's the best Italian restaurant in the area? And he said, Ken, a lot of my clients rave about this. And he said, if you want, I can make reservations for you. I did the same thing on the way out. And I said, listen, I didn't have sushi this time. Where should I have sushi? Oh, you know what? The best sushi on the beach is in this hotel. And in both cases, the chauffeurs, they pass the test with flying colors. So we drive relationships, relationship driven, focus on our client experience. You're creating a valued repeat customer through personalized, consistent, and memorable experiences. The riders become your partners. They become your friends. They become family, if you will. Loyal client, repeat clients that are brand ambassadors. This is what I wanted to go through. I've become obsessed with the concept of a growth engine. And I think generally a lot of operators do a terrible job at creating this self-perpetuating growth engine. Here's what I mean. They pay you to do great SEO and ads to get them leads, okay? And then they do a lousy job converting them. Number one, fast response with a consultative and understanding approach. The only way you're going to understand what's important to them is to ask conversational questions and provide customized solutions. You know what? We normally don't do this, but since you've got 6 executives in town, we will give you a decent rate on this Sprinter, and we will bill you by the hour for this vehicle. Tell me what you're doing, your most important experiences, your most important places that you don't want to put people in multiple Ubers or cram them in the back of an Uber or SUV.
Yeah.
We're going to give you a rate, but you can only find this out if you're converting properly. And then it's the service delivery. Sadly, both of our clients, the operators, focus great on providing and delivering great service. I've never had one of my clients fail because they didn't master delivery.
Yeah.
But where I think we fail is building these lasting
Yes.
relationships. Like that situation you had in Houston, if I'm the owner, if I'm that operator, I'm calling the day after saying, hey, how was that initial trip? While you're in town, this is my cell number. Please give me as much notice as you can, but we'd love to provide Sprinter service anywhere you want to go. Here's number 5 is the holy grail. It is you, through outstanding experiences and
Yeah.
personalized service, you delight your clients so they talk about you. They
Yes.
talk about you, right? They literally, and it's the concept is the difference between a bought client, which you spend good money on, and an earned client, which is someone that refers business to you. But you're not even going to know if they referred you unless you ask the question on every new prospect call. Have you
Yes.
traveled with us before? No, I haven't traveled with you before. Tell me something. How did you hear about us, Mr. Petree? I found you on Google. Great, you've come to the right place. Tell me something. How often do you travel in and out of Chicago? This is a perpetuating growth engine. So what is the outcome? More awareness, more customers, stronger relationships, repeat business, more referrals. It is a perpetuating cycle, okay? And what I mean by that is over time, what happens is your cost of sale goes down
Yes.
and the
That's
customer use goes up. So if you treat every lead as a disposable Bic lighter sale, right? Sell a Bic lighter. I'm buying or
yeah,
selling
yeah.
it at a convenience store. You have to think as an operator the long-term value of that client. The
Yes.
long-term value, because they know about the cheaper alternatives out there. They know.
Yeah.
And if
Yes.
you get defensive, listen, the other thing I'll tell you is this industry is the chauffeured industry provides about $7 billion a year in the United States, sedan and SUV trips. $7 billion worth of sedan and SUV trips. 70% of those are to and from the airport. 7 billion. So 70% of 7 billion, I don't know, I need coal for this, right? $5 billion. Do you know that the top 10 most traveled airports, if we only captured the 3% of the travelers in first class, is like 22 billion? Okay. You're not going to tell me that all those people are traveling to and from the airport by Uber. Who's the Uber client? No question. The one going from an urban hotel to an urban airport. Maybe somebody who lives in Manhattan going to the airport. You know who's not an Uber client to and from the airport? Anybody who's 45 minutes out away from the airport in a wealthy suburban community.
Yep.
I argued with a client I have in Boston for this so many times. I said, you have a problem. I came from Boston. The wealthiest zip codes they're all towns that start with W. Okay. Wellesley, Weston,
Interesting.
and Wayland. Okay. Our private chauffeured client to the airport lives in the wealthiest suburbs. They work in corporate C-suite jobs. The other thing, they're professionals. They're either consultants, they're accountants, they're lawyers,
Yeah.
etc. Tell me something, Mark. Can I ask what you do for a living? Yeah, I'm actually an engineer. What do you travel for? We build big buildings. I'm a structural engineer. I'm in and out of towns all over the place. Mark, I can provide you with service anywhere you want. Let's start with the round trip here in Chicago. I'm going to give you the best price I can. Okay. And the other piece of it is when I give you a price, let me ask you a question. Is that okay with you? I know we're more expensive than what you've used before, but is that okay with you? You know what? If you ask that question, no, it's really not. Well, it's the best I can do. It's the best I can do for you today. But tell you what, whatever the case is, right? If they will book today, if they'll book the round trip, give them the best possible price that you can give them.
Yeah.
The airport is really the biggest, most competitive.
Yeah.
I maintain you get on the phone to any lead that's looking for a Sprinter, Mini, or wedding of any kind.
Yes.
There's such a lack of quality operators. You get them on the phone, and if you sell based on value, tell me something, Mark. What are you using the Sprinter for? I have 6 executives coming into town, and I have to entertain them all week. So, Mark, this is a pretty important situation for you. Yes, it is. You've come to the right place. I'm going to take great care of you.
Yeah.
What did I just do there?
Yeah.
It's not, you know what? It's not selling. It's creating the relationship.
Yeah.
It's understanding the relationship, right? So back to my plumber experience. Sent out my drawing to 6 of them. 2 of them didn't even respond. The others responded by email.
Yeah.
And said, what you described, because I described the whole thing. I showed pictures, open basement below, yada, yada, the whole thing. What you're describing there is between from and to.
So you put in all this work, you're totally a serious buyer, right? Right. It's obvious you're serious.
Totally serious buyer. I got 1 out of the 6 called me, texted me and said, listen, thank you for sending all this. I'm going to send you a quote by email, but tell me, do you mind if I call you? I have a couple of questions. And his questions were not anything that couldn't have been handled over the email. He was just a savvy operator.
No, for sure. And I guarantee you he crushes it. And it's wide open in this industry. And honestly, some industries are better than others. And I think you're right that many industries are actually still wide open because, a lot of times, the focus is on, delivering the ride, but it's the conversation, the first conversation you have. And then, if they're a prospect that there's more there and you're not following up with them after the first time, the service is delivered. Well, first, obviously talking to the chauffeur and making sure everything went off without a hitch and delivering as much as possible. But then following up with a phone call, it means so much if an owner or GM follows up. Hey, just wanted to make sure your trip was a good one. And, and that's when, you can possibly, get the next one, or at least if nothing else, you have an idea of when their next, when
the next trip is.
Exactly. And so you follow up with that. Look, they might book with you right there. If you have, hey, look, if you enjoyed your experience, look, no one's doing this, right? The number of people who follow up after the trip, you're going to get so many surprised people. Many might book their next trip, or especially if you say, hey, look, we have a corporate package to where, if you book, and by the way, great video with Forever Transportation. Kyle's very marketing savvy. He understands the idea of having packages, right? Because people generally aren't very good at assessing, comparing value. But if they can see 2 packages side by side, especially if you lead with the expensive one and you anchor that price,
100%. Yep.
It's that much easier to sell them, and I say sell. The sell can sometimes sound like a dirty word because sell conjures up like I'm trying to do it. No, you're trying to help, right? You're trying to be of service.
You're 100% right. And listen, you're talking to somebody that started selling security systems at 15, okay?
Yeah.
The connotation of being a salesperson, it's the negative is you're convincing someone of something they don't need.
Yes.
And that's not sales.
No. That's sleazy,
not sales.
Used car,
right.
But
what sales is, and I don't care if it's high ticket or low ticket, sales is all about finding out the needs of the customer now and their future use, and tailoring your value around the solution. That's what it is. Because if it was about the price, and that's the sad part, and I worry for the operators that are transactional, okay? Because everybody's worried about AVs. I'm not. I mean, I think eventually it's going to be good opportunities for us.
I don't think there's any danger with AVs. They weren't our clients to begin with. The same with the Uber thing.
But on top of that, there will be larger passenger capacity AV opportunities, campus shuttles, corporate shuttles. But anyway, I worry more about the blurred line between the Uber Black Suburban and ours. Okay? I worry more about that. Uber has been around since before I sold my limo company, which was in 2012. They've been around and they've been aggressive for the past 15 years, if my math is right. Let's call it 10, okay? They've gotten unbelievably aggressive. Every single person that answers a lead for an airport ride or sedan and SUV trip knows that Uber is an alternative. It is your job to find out what they used to do. This is not their first trip in the back of a car.
Yeah.
Right? And if they are a frequent user, you need to figure out, tell me something. What did you do before? Have you used Chauffeured services before?
Yeah.
This is your first time calling us. You right? Wait a minute. You didn't use us. This is your first trip with us. Yes. First experience with us. Yes, it is. Okay. Tell me, how did you hear about us? And then, curious, do you routinely use Chauffeured services?
That's a big one.
Boom.
That's
I've got them.
Yeah.
I've got them. What did you do before this? If you didn't use Chauffeured
There's
services,
a story there.
What did you do before
There's
this?
a story there.
Right. Well, yeah. My family we used Uber. We routinely used Uber in the first few times it was okay to and from the airport. But, recently they left us stranded. I said, you know something? A lot of people tell me that. And here's the problem. If they leave you stranded on a Friday night, going to and from the local restaurant, who cares, right? You can just wait for another one. But you miss that plane, you're in trouble. So that's where that's our purview. You've come to the right place. We are early morning and late night private transportation experts. Okay.
Yes.
And I won't go into bore you with details, but we guarantee the driver's going to be there. Okay. What did you do before today is critical.
Yeah.
And then tell me something. What's this trip for? Oh, actually, this is for my daughter. You know what? You've come to the right place. You don't want your daughter in the back of an Uber car under no circumstances. Ken, that's why I'm calling you. Okay.
Yeah.
Where is she landing? She's going to Charlotte. She's going to go see this college. Let me ask you a question. Why don't I take care of this? Why don't I take care of this round trip for you? But would you be interested in me providing service in Charlotte? We have a complete network. We have a global network. Most of your operators are not ready for that, but I have to tell you, they have to be working towards that, because what did I just do? I took the cost of that lead.
You 4X'd. You get that round trip and then another
I turned it into the round trip, right? And then after that, the other thing you have to do is the owner. We actually had this conversation with somebody today, runs a $3 million operation, but he still does drive. I said, listen, your job is at least 20% of your time, you need to be cultivating new clients, okay? And then at least 10% of your time, you need to be following up with first riders, right? And that can be done by anybody, by the way. So once you get them in through selling value, and I'll make this offer to you. We didn't plan on this. This is not planned. You corral your customers together, and I'll go through with them a how to sell value workshop.
No, let's do it.
We did it for Neela. But here's the key. It is critically important that if you approach this business as an operator and your approach is transactional, you're not going to have long-term success.
Yeah.
and you're not going to maximize profit. If you do create a consultative creating value approach, you are there to solve the problem. The problem is not they need a ride to the
No.
airport, because they could do that tons of different ways,
Exactly.
right?
Yes.
Your job is to figure out, and there's a cadence to it, and we will, just using their name and consistently in the conversation, just responding quickly to the lead,
Yeah.
responding in a variety of ways if you don't get an answer. Even if you've got a great landing page, and I saw the one that you built, it's a great landing page.
Yeah. But it's no
You have
substitute.
to it's no substitute, and people do prefer texting. I saw that I saw that you have a quote in for a sprinter. Is now a good time for a phone call?
Yeah.
Or you text them and say, I saw that you have a quote in for a sprinter. We have a few of those sprinters, but we've got a lot of quotes that day. Do you have a minute for a phone call?
Yeah.
Okay. Create fear of missing out. It's not about, it's creating a sense of urgency, okay, but it's also finding out the viability of the long-term value of this customer. I'm going to work my ass off for anybody's a corporate account like
Yes.
the one you've described, right? That, with 11,000 employees, that's a couple $100,000, minimum $200,000 a year account. But it's not about selling. It's about perfecting the sale process, perfecting the process from lead to contact, increasing the closing ratio by selling value, and then it's delivering repeat service. It's deepening the relationship.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why people are so afraid to create the relationship. I just don't think they are using the right skills.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of things. I think, and for different people, but just knowing what am I going to say? Having a script, right? And you're not always going to need a script, but starting with a script, and at the end of the day, I think, we're going to move to small group meetups, and I would love to do that, by the way. And have
it's done
you
whenever you want it. To do it right. It's either it's about 60 minutes with Q&A. It comes with a workbook. Okay. And this is part of an academy we're building, but I'll give it to your clients, because listen, over the years, you and I have done great things together.
Yeah.
I'll give it to every one of your clients, because one of the things, it bothers me that people get leads. The phone is ringing. Okay. The phone is ringing. You're doing your job, but they're treating these leads like they're worth nothing. They're treating they have to be treated as if it could be $100,000 relationship or a $10,000 relationship.
Yeah.
Getting the customer in the door, your job after that is to continue to create value. And it's because we are a logistics business. So
That's what I think.
Really spend a lot of time on the transaction.
Yeah. Yeah. And back in the day, the culture is never, maybe this wasn't, I mean, I'm guessing it was always like, you were always like this, and you always knew we're hospitality. It's not just getting someone from A to B. But once Uber came in and they introduced, really what they did is they eliminated the deadhead pretty much, right? So they eliminated, they made their operation so much more efficient, but they're this big faceless corporation, right? And you are Joe or Mike or Ken or Mark or whatever, and you are the point of contact, and that relationship is the value. And it's weird because when you're doing online marketing, they might get 100, 200, 300 leads in a month, and it's like, okay, it's almost like these VC guys who they say most of our investments are not even worth it. And we might invest in 50 companies, and 1 or 2 will make up for everything else. I think it's very much like that when you're doing this. And the hard part is you just have to realize that not every person is your client, right? Not every person is going to be
correct. But don't make that assumption until
no,
you
exactly.
have done some fact finding. Tell me, it's straightforward. Mark, how did you hear about us? Have you ever used transportation before? I mean, start with, is this the first time you've contacted us, or have you experienced our service before? No. How did you hear about us? Google ads. Terrific. I'm glad you found us. Tell me something. Have you used chauffeured services before? If the answer is yes, your ability to close is about now 75%.
Oh, totally. 100%. And how long
Next
does
question.
that take? Not very long.
10 seconds. Tell me something. Let me ask you a question. Why are you calling us if you've used somebody? Have you used somebody locally? Yes, but you know what? The guy retired. Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
What did you like about what they did? Guy was always on time. You're going to love us. You're going to always be reinforcing.
Ken, it sounds like you've done this before. There's something here. It sounds like you've maybe had a few of these. It sounds like you've maybe had a few of these calls before.
Look, on the podcast, I had the lady who authored the book Selling Value.
Yeah.
And I had my workshop before that, but I enhanced it, and I'll have to get, the book is probably back at the house, but I will, for your workshop, I will get that book. The truth is, people don't like to be sold, but they love to buy. Okay?
Yes.
They love to buy people who listen and solve their problems. The problem is not the ride to the airport. The problem is not transporting 6 to 8 people. They could do that in 2 Uber SUVs.
Yeah.
Okay? Tell me something, Mark. How tall are these guys? Oh, these guys are 6 feet. You know, the beauty of this Sprinter is they can stand up. Do you want conversational seating, or would you prefer executive forward-facing seating? Okay? This stuff is much easier than selling access control systems and security systems.
Then they won't even ask for the price. Like you go into the things you just said. Like, that's a perfect example.
You just brought up something.
They won't even ask the price.
If you sell value properly, price becomes the least important thing. That is your job. That's your job. The only way you get there is to find out what's important. Now, this plumber is as blue collar as you get. And he said to me, tell me about this guest house. I said, it was originally an 1890s schoolhouse. Oh, so we're going to do something classic here. We're going to do, what do you think about an exposed chrome or black iron shower? I said, I love that
this
idea.
Guy, man, this guy's a killer. This guy's a killer.
He's a killer,
tell.
But he's wait a minute. He's selling something much more complicated than what we do.
For sure.
But he's good.
No, you can tell.
Right? Ken, let me give you a suggestion here. What do you think about this? Ken, you know something? I have a couple of alternatives for you. I can give you a Suburban, or I can give you a sedan, or, you know, that Sprinter we talked about. I want you to have the high top vehicle, but I also have a Transit. You know, the Transit's not as expensive as my Mercedes-Benz Sprinter, but you really want to impress these guys. Tell you what, I'm going to give you the Mercedes-Benz Sprinter at the same price as the Transit. People think I'm a good salesman. It's not. I've just been selling value in different industries for a long time. And people buy value when they're shopping for services. And in our case, they always want they want personalized service. If they didn't, they would have used the app. I guarantee you the guy you talked to, he has the Uber app on his phone.
Oh, sure.
Shit,
we all do,
I have the Uber
right?
app on my phone. Right.
We all do. No.
If you
realize,
there's
so much gold
I'm
here.
going to leave you with this. I'm going to leave your operators with this. We've studied we've dissected Uber as far as their trips. 80% of their trips are 20 minutes or less than 20 minutes, less than 20 miles. And they used to be $20. Now they're like 35.
Yeah.
Less than 20% of what they do is to and from the airport. In many cities, it's not even 15% of what they do. But
I wonder
the
why.
black level service, is about 6% of their total revenue. Know this shit like the
Wow.
back of my hand. We've
No
read through the
way.
analyst report. So
That's
when people
crazy.
call you,
That low.
right, but
It makes sense though. It
Mark,
makes sense.
it makes total sense. You just can't yourself and subconsciously say, "Oh shit, they're going to compare me to Uber X." Yeah, they are. Just you have to find out the reasons why they called you today, because that is one of the options that they had. They didn't choose it. They called
Yeah,
you. All right. So the
exactly.
next thing we're going to do is we're going to do this workshop. Let's
Yeah,
figure out a
let's do
date.
it.
Let's get the invitation out, and I'm happy to do it because, Mark, I believe in what you do. You love your customers. You've been doing this for a long time. There have been a lot of people that have come and gone out of this industry that have claimed to be digital marketing experts. And you've been here for how long?
Yeah, it's almost, I think, 9 years now. I've found like increasingly, I
Yep.
used to be just Google Ads, and okay, no, I actually have to handle this landing pages too. Oh, I need to provide a CRM. Oh, I need to help them with their sales. And while that might not be my
Yep.
job, at the end of the day,
You have to.
if they leave because they're not getting sales, it might not be my
Yep.
job, but I got to take responsibility for it. I probably won't start driving for them anytime soon. That's probably where I draw the line. Managing
I think that's
operation.
a good line to draw. Listen, we have 15 retained client slots. They're all filled. We have some people waiting, but we have 15 slots. We do all of their monthly financial management reporting. They need us for that. We do their tax prep reports twice a year. But what they love about what we do is we pull their data out of their reservation system, and we're the first ones in the industry to do what I call sales data analytics. Oh, wait a minute. Your top 100 customers, the green ones, they're spending more with you than last year. The red ones, they're spending less. You better do something about this.
This is everything.
The yellow ones, they need an outreach. But your operators, the biggest key is, I bet you a lot of your operators have more inbound leads than some of the bigger ones because they've got you. The reality is every lead is not just one bite of the apple. It's if you consider it based on the long-term value, and you're only going to find out if you start asking those questions
100%.
conversationally. So let's teach these guys how to do it.
Let's do it. And by the way, so Ken, how do people get a hold of you? Because Ken, also, you help operators, and I know it's bigger operators that are looking to sell or
buy, sell, borrow, or grow. We helped somebody the other day borrow $1.2 million to buy 2 motor coaches. He's just got into the motor coach space last year. He farmed out $500,000 worth of motor coach business, and I said, it's time.
It's time.
So we put the whole package together, and we helped him create a marketing program for that. But first thing, I'd like everybody to watch the Ground Transportation Podcast. Go to groundtransportationpodcast.com.
Phenomenal.
Or find Ground Transportation Podcast on Spotify. That's my favorite. I can be reached at drivingtransactions.com. And I look forward to the workshop.
Yeah,
and,
me too, man.
Yeah, I think they'll enjoy it. Mark, you're one of my favorite people in the business. I remember when we did our first webinar together. I think it was 2018.
Wow. That's crazy. Yeah,
we should look at that. You and I should do a best of episode together.
No, we really should, man. It's it's crazy how things have evolved, and you probably have more information on like financially, like the picture, like strategy on that than anyone in the industry by far. I'm guessing. Part of it is because I have the time to read, and I have the time to analyze, and when we do all of our financial reviews, and we help clients, we figure out what works with them. But most of it is I have time to analyze problems, and this value selling has come up with every one of my clients, and it's because most of my big clients are using offshore Yeah.
And they're doing great. The
me
kids
too.
are doing great. They're doing great. But we want them to back up a little bit and sell value. They're great, perfect for existing clients. But when you have someone that's new to you, you need to create that relationship.
100%. 100%.
100%. But yeah, look us up on drivingtransactions.com. Find us on the ground transportation podcast.com, or look us up on Spotify, Ground Transportation Podcast.
It. Awesome. Ken, thanks so much for doing this, man.
All right, Mark, have a great weekend.
All right. We'll talk soon. If you found this valuable, please subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up. I'll see you on the next video.